We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
Fraud moves fast. Rapidify moves faster. Powered by AI-infused technology, Peraton's rapid fraud intelligence helps government customers outpace fraud schemes while saving billions of dollars each year. Learn more at Peraton.com/fraud.
Running a business, I've learned that every missed call is a missed opportunity. Before my team found OpenPhone, it was chaos. Personal numbers for customer calls, missed messages, no visibility into who followed up or didn't. Now we've got a business phone system that keeps up. With OpenPhone, our whole team can call and text from a shared number, assign follow-ups, and track every conversation with call transcripts and summaries. Best part? Whether it's after hours or we're just busy, AI steps in to handle calls, answer customer questions, and capture leads. Our phones are covered 24/7 and we never miss a beat. OpenPhone starts at just $15 a month, and they'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Over 60,000 businesses are using OpenPhone, and now I get why. Try it out and get 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/radio. That's openphone.com/radio for 20% off. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Here's Michelle Murray on the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Slowing traffic in the district on New York Avenue inbound between 4th Street and the 3rd Street Tunnel. Outbound side is heavy from the Brentwood Parkway heading towards Bladensburg Road. A couple of accidents on Route 1. One is in College Park on Route 1 just south of Campus Drive. Another one in Laurel on Route 1 near Cherry Lane. Eastbound on 50 in Glen Arden, they are doing pothole patching work in the 2 right lanes between 704 and Collington Road, so watch for delays there as well. And in Wheaton, a portion of University Boulevard still closed between Inwood Avenue and Arcola Avenue due to Pepco service repairs. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Rain in the forecast this evening with some isolated storms, but the heavier rain between I-81 and I-95 corridor could give way to more flash flood warnings this evening. Thursday, stray shower thunderstorm can't be ruled out. 78 to 81 degrees. I'm 7 News Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 72 degrees in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Now look at that fucking thing.
877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Man, oh Manischewitz, we are packed. We are packed with clips. We are packed with articles. We got a great guest. And most of all, we have you. We have everything. From the fireworks on Capitol Hill when RFK Jr. was testifying, boy, these Democrats are nuts. They're also sick. Christine Ohm, her testimony, what was taking place. We've got the clown Newark mayor and the clown Democrat members of the House, all of whom should be in a jail cell at some point, I would think. We've got Hakeem Jeffries, threatens retaliation if Democrat lawmakers are arrested. assault and battery. I don't care if you're a Democrat, quote unquote, lawmaker or not. Never mind, Mark. Never mind. We've got a big, beautiful bill, as the president calls it, and it is. It needs to get through the House and get signed. We need massive tax cuts. I don't believe in raising taxes on the rich, quote unquote. That's not massive tax cuts. That's Marx's propaganda. And it doesn't earn you anything with the left and the media. But be as it may, it needs to get passed, and it needs to get passed ASAP. ASAP. But before we do, we're going to have some fun here. In fact, we're going to have a lot of fun. We always have fun, don't we? I want to read something to you. If I can find the damn thing. Here it is. What I love about this book on power is the lessons that it provides, not because of me, but the lessons that it provides, and it applies to everyday events that are going on in your life, as a matter of fact. Now, it doesn't come out until July 29th, but if you order it now, you're going to get the most massive discount that anybody gets, because whatever they discount it from today all the way to sales day, you get the best discount of all. And the way Amazon works is, with all its books, in fact, with all its products, it has significant discounts before the books are published, or even before the products are available, in order to encourage people to buy them, because they're a warehouse. They move them in, they move them out, they move them in, they move them out, and that is to your advantage. That's the inside baseball when it comes to books. So what I do every day, in addition to us getting the clips together, in addition to going through all the news information, in addition to all that, what I've been doing is going through my book to say, okay, let's get a few relatively concise passages that are relevant to what's taking place. We can have a little bit of fun talking about them, and you can see if this interests you or not. So I delve into sort of the middle of chapter 1 on power. In our country, the American Revolution and establishment of a Republican government were intended to secure the traditions, customs, and values of the society as concisely set forth in the Declaration of Independence. Unlike the French Revolution, the purpose of which was to destroy the existing society, not only the ruling monarchy. Indeed, the Declaration is one of the most concise yet brilliant statements about humanity and society ever authored. This is not to say that other Western democracies lacked similar intentions, but America's purpose was known and declared before it was even a functioning country. That is, from the very beginning. And its ultimate governmental design, the national constitution, was a direct outgrowth of this purpose, not an imposition by an elite few, since the representatives of all the colonies participated in its development from the Constitutional Convention to the state ratification conventions. So when establishing our own government, the debates among the delegates to the Constitutional Convention and later the state ratifying conventions focused almost entirely on how to balance the necessity of centralized power to secure the civil society and preserve individual liberty, with the recognition that in creating such an entity, they risked imperiling the American experiment if the conferred power was not offset by competing powers. For the framers, the answer was a mixed government. In essence, they adopted John Locke's overarching governmental model of separating power and Montesquieu's more precise description of government divided between and among these three entities: legislative, executive, judicial, each with relatively specific and distinct responsibilities, yet constantly competing with the others for power. Now, Montesquieu is the most widely read and cited philosopher during America's constitutional period. He's referred to directly in the Federalist Papers multiple times. And in his iconic book, it is a remarkable book, The Spirit of the Laws, Montesquieu explained that, and I quote, "Democracy and aristocracy are not free states by their nature. Political liberty is found only in moderate governments, but it is not always in moderate states. It is present only when power is not abused, but it has eternally been observed that any man who has power is led to abuse it. He continues until he finds limits. Who would think it, he wrote. Even virtue has need of limits, he said, so that one cannot abuse power. Power must check power by the arrangement of things. Power must check power by the arrangement of things. What I'm reading to you, the framers of your Constitution and the ratifiers of your Constitution read also. A Constitution would be such that no one will be constrained to do the things the law does not oblige him to do, or be kept from doing the things the law permits him to do. Indeed, hundreds of years later, ladies and gentlemen, the late British Christian theologian, scholar, author, one of the favorites for me, C.S. Lewis, underscored Montesquieu's point about the abuse of power disguised as virtue. He famously wrote, "Of all tyrannies," did C.S. Lewis write, "a tyranny exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It may be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. They may be more likely to go to heaven, yet at the same time likelier to make a hell on earth. Their very kindness stings with intolerable insult. To be cured against one's will and cured of states which we may not regard as disease is to be put on a level of those who have not yet reached the age of reason. In other words, treating us like children, or those who never will. To be classed with infants, imbeciles, and domestic animals. Isn't that the left, the Democrat Party today, and some Republicans too? Tyranny, when people are preaching good intentions and virtue. Montesquieu further warned, as I point out in the book, that should the distinct nature of these branches dissolve, this is crucial to what's happening today with the courts. Should the distinct nature of these branches dissolve and transition from separation of powers to the concentration of powers, the result would be tyranny. Here's what he said. When legislative power is united with executive power,
studied all this long ago,
or in a single body,
this is a good refresher course.
There's no liberty, because one can fear that the same monarch or senate that makes tyrannical laws will execute them tyrannically. Nor is there liberty if the power of judging is not separate from the legislative power and from the executive power. For we're joined to legislative power, the power over the life and liberty of the citizens would be arbitrary. For the judge would be the legislator. If it were joined to the executive power, the judge would have the force of an oppressor. Got it? That's why this book is important. All would be lost that the same man or the same body of principal men, either of nobles or of the people, exercise these three powers, that of making laws, that of executing public resolutions, and that of judging the crimes or the disputes of individuals. Now notice too Montesquieu's observation that tyranny is not unique solely to despots, but is also to be feared in the form of groups, bodies, mobs, even legislatures. At the same state conventions, they were debating whether to ratify the proposed Constitution. In Federalist number 51, James Madison,
Buttermilk,
the father of the doctrine,
Buttermilk.
Montesquieu when he wrote, "Human beings are imperfect and ambitious, so we need a government structure that guards against abuses of power. Ambitions be made to counteract ambition. The interest of the man must be connected with the constitutional rights of the place. It may be a reflection on human nature that such devices should be necessary to control the abuses of government. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is He didn't invent the idea, but the way he articulated it. I write, so much of life orbits around this word, this idea, this belief, power. And most of the discussion, to the extent it exists at all in an honest or coherent fashion, is in the form of generality, sloganeering, demagoguery, and the like, used by politicians, media, ideologues, and academicians to manipulate, confound, and deceive, in which case power is used to control thought, discussion, and language. This book is intended to provoke a better comprehension of what is meant by power, its impact on the individual and mankind generally, and stimulate a broader examination and dialogue about its application. In doing so, if it succeeds, even modestly, perhaps it will prove an additional source for liberty against tyranny. It's a couple pages out of the first chapter on power. And again, this is just a tiny little taste of what's in this book. One part of the discussion and the reasoning about power. There's so many subjects in what is a very concisely written book, plainly written, easy to understand. Much of the debate we're having about the Middle East now, it's not really a debate. We're right and they're wrong. Much of the discussion that's going on about the Middle East today misses an entire point. We Americans, we people in the West, we have no idea about how the Islamists think, what they believe. We enter into agreements with them, economic agreements, military agreements, maybe even a nuclear agreement. And what does an agreement mean to them? Let's put aside the current events. Go back whenever you want. What does an agreement mean in the context of an Islamist ideology? You know, next hour we're going to have our friend Zuhdi Jasser on. This guy is brave. He served in the Navy in a significant role. He's a Muslim gentleman. He's a reformer. It's important to understand what he says. It's also important to understand what others have said, including those who've written or repeated.
Look at
or
Acid
taught or
Trip
memorized
trying to be relevant, come
in
into
Gaza,
my chat. What
in
a
Qatar,
punk you are.
in Saudi
Well,
Arabia,
I'm gonna
in
let the
Iran.
chat take care of you, you
all of our
stupid
new
fuck.
friends, what they think about us.
If you guys block
why they
Acid
use
Trips,
the
let
money
me
the way
know.
they do. And by the way, for all the anti-Semites
If you
out
want me
there
to time them out, let me know.
talking about, neocons, it was always a lie that the Jews had all the money. You see who has all the money today, Mr. Producer? Qatar, Saudi Arabia. The Arabs have all the money. So let's get that hate. Let's get that straight now. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Memorial Day is almost here. What will you be flying? The faded, flimsy, overseas-made flag with frayed edges, or adorable, high-quality American flag that is truly built to honor our nation and the people who fought for it? One that was hand-sewn right in Charleston, South Carolina, by patriots who love this country? Now, I'm talking about Allegiance flag supplied, and I'll be flying my Allegiance flag.
That's
You still
Acid
have time to
Trip,
get yours before
cloning
Memorial Day.
Americans.
This is truly a flag to be
That's what
redeemed.
him and
A
Whippy
flag
do.
you could be proud of. It's also a great gift to the military member.
He thinks he's fucking relevant. He found out my neighbor across the street, his name is Omar. He Googled Earth my place. He's got the address. So he went, you can go to the post office and fucking get people's names. That's what JC did with me. That's how they got my address over on, I'm listed. I could go down to the post office and make my address private. And if I moved out of this address, they'd never know where the fuck I'm at. Yeah, that's Acid Trip doing that, Rocky. I'm here to do all you guys a service. because I'm sick of them motherfuckers over in England. You motherfuckers, your ass has been getting kicked since 1776, and that's why you're doing it. Acid trip, you can't even do a fucking push-up. What fucking good are you? You wouldn't even be able to fucking help build the campfire for the KK meeting I'm having. I love a good bonfire. You motherfuckers. Come on, acid drip. You ain't going to send any. The only thing you're sending is fucking bad messages. You're the dumbest fucker out here, and there's a lot of them.
Hi, I'm Vince Callahan, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show.
See, unlike Wiggin, I won't try to trust you guys. Fuck you. He did it with Shannon. He did right, and they're just a bunch of backstabbing motherfuckers. Now I get accused of being a backstabber, which I'm not. But then it's good for the drama. Because they all want to see me and Wiggin at each other's throats. Because we're the two funniest guys out here. All right, two of the funniest. There's some other people out here that make good comments. And they stay below the fucking radar. I know who they are. Certainly not you, Mad Jim. Everybody had a wrench for Rusty. All you English motherfucks. Expecting me to come to her chat and try to fucking fight her and all that shit. That's what logical. He just wants me to try to keep posting in this. There's the spammer right there. I'm a cloner, but I don't spam. And you know, Relentless is part of the game, so quit your fucking griping about people making sock accounts. You fucking do it. All your friends do it. Come on up, Relentless. I want to talk to you. Bring your husband with you. Went right over there and fucking, of course, Mary Bernie's going to be friends with you guys. She's fucking, you're an idiot, Mary. I'm not unruly. Could be any number one people. I don't know. I would imagine maybe Wiggin knows who it is. All right. If it's the guy that called, went by multi-mock, whatever. I don't know if he's in Texas. I have no idea.
Coaches and legends to bring you honest conversations and untold stories.
You probably know more than I do, Rocky. You know what's going on. You're friends with all these fuckers. All you guys had wrenches at Juju Bot.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned.
Sardu knows. They watch my every fucking move. Not like I'm trying to hide. I'm the only one. If I clone, somebody's gonna figure it out.
There's a whole lot missing here in this story, isn't there?
I'm always aware of that, Rocky. You may not know something. I don't want to assume somebody knows something when they don't. Because I'm always making them accusations about what people do. Like Patrick Rowe. That motherfucker's been camping out in Shannon's chat ever since since they fucking parted ways, whatever they did. And then there's, Logical. He's behind a lot of these fucking sock accounts out there. He's a cloning motherfucker. So there's been this beef between Logical and fuck you.
It is simple post this one.
Calls Ginger Cringer. Then you got High Test. Fucking your guy's Indian guru. Why is a guy from India fucking vice president of FDU? The fuck is up with that?
And died in a most horrific way.
They got a Chinese whatever fucking mayor in Boston. You're a dumb fuck, DA. You really are. Come on up, DA. Just you and me. You chicken shit motherfucker.
The Pentagon. Central Pennsylvania.
He's talking about September 11th.
It just seems to me Saudi Arabia, in exchange for everything it got, should at least apologize to the 9/11 families.
Yeah.
One of whom contacted me. Was that asking too much? I don't think so. Then, of course, Qatar helped prevent the FBI from capturing the head terrorist behind 9/11 before he unleashed 9/11 on our country.
I was talking about that with a pastor.
To something.
3 people didn't want to believe what I was saying, but it's true.
I'll be right back.
Bill Clinton he allowed September 11th to happen. They bombed the World Trade Center in 1993. Bill Clinton twice, 2 countries offered bin Laden to him. He knew he was there, and he blew smoke up our ass. Bill Clinton did, and said he didn't have the convening authority to arrest him. The same guy that fucking come on the scene, never heard of him before. And when I heard him say, I experimented with marijuana, but I didn't inhale, fuck you Democrats. If not all you, because not all Democrats are like that, right? It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. There's a reason for our 2-party system, you stupid fuckers. I'm sick of them, Rocky. JC lets them fuckers up on it. I can't go up on her. If I go up there and I debate them and I'm right again, what do? You see what they do. That doesn't happen here. So what we get is little punks like Acid Drip and Rum Is Back and all. They think they're funny. And then they get mad at you when you don't like them. Well, I'm supposed to like them. Yeah, DA, you back all them motherfuckers. I'd love to meet you in fucking Albany. You'd never show up. If I showed up in Albany and fucking showed that I was there, you'd never show up. No. You're a coward, DA. You and your little friend Loglicker, Patrick Francis Callahan, lives at home with his mother. Burn his feet fucking trying to make dabs. Whatever he was doing, cooking drugs. Must have caught his pecker on fire. He had to have fucking staples put in his feet. I watched him talk to Caleb about it on Caleb's panel. That was verification right there. Yeah, I bought a few groceries. I got some panko coated chicken with sun-dried tomatoes on it. And the other one is garlic and herb. So I just ate nothing like a homemade cheeseburger. If you could smell it in here, it stinks like cheeseburger. It smells like hamburger. Gets pretty smoky. My kitchen doesn't have a ventilation system. This place is... It's a miracle if it even meets building code. I don't know. Yeah. Excuse me. That beer went down pretty good.
Yes. My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Baby should always sleep on their backs.
That's Wiggin doing that shit, by the way.
Blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS, you know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Seriously, that avatar was made by RG. I remember the day he went into JC's chat with it. It fucking drove her nuts. She got madder than a fucker.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope.
I got to post in Vegas for a little bit because that fucking idiot is there.
Visit starlight.org to learn more.
for a local news source you can trust. Visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. You your family. Learn more at USO.org.
Put it over here.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Making sense of your world.
Thanks for taking my call.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Greatly appreciated.
Making sense of the news.
It's fucking hilarious.
Mark Levin, making conservatism great again. Dial in now. 877-381-3811.
Okay, we're great.
You listen to this program over the decades. My principles have never changed. My views have never changed. You can adjust them from time to time, depending on what events are taking place. But I don't get involved in wild gyrations when it comes to policy and that sort of thing. Principles are principles. I didn't evolve into a fifth column isolationist. I never was, quote unquote, a neocon. I'm not for war. I'm for national security and protecting.
Forgot the last name.
Islamists.
I like how it does that. This service isn't available. It does that something. It's like I almost think that's the chat owner that does that. I don't know how to do it.
It's not about sloganeering. It's not about new ways to look at the world. I'm looking at this Qatar thing. We have a $1.2 trillion deal. That is great. But Qatar is spending billions and billions of dollars trying to destroy our country. It's destroying our colleges and universities. Does anybody dispute that? President Trump doesn't dispute it. He said so in 2017. So who's disputing that? Nobody. So I point it out. I give you the information. It demonstrates. It proves it. It's called evidence. Here's the other thing. I don't agree 100% with any government official, with any politician, none. Not even with Ronald Reagan, and I worked in his administration for 8 years. Doesn't mean I dislike the person, doesn't mean I hate the person, doesn't mean there's a divide, doesn't mean there's a defiance. You know, this is a mature country that requires mature people. And people have their own opinions. Where I draw the line with this administration and this president is the attempts to destroy him and destroy his presidency and destroy his life. And I fight it, and I fight it more effectively and aggressively than anybody else. I fight against these efforts to destroy this man. And I will continue to do so. You know why? He's my friend. And God forbid if the other side wins, because they are nuts. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree on everything. I understand there are websites out there. I understand there are isolationists and other buffoonish individuals who want you to believe that when I express my opinion, there's something nefarious about it. There's something notable about it. I'm on the radio 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm on Fox with 2 shows. I'm on The Blaze. I write books. It's important that you and I have we do, this special relationship and this loyalty. People don't always have to agree with me, and they don't, and you don't. That doesn't mean you hate me. I'm going to tune you out. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But so what? In terms of my viewpoint, how do I even adjust my opinions with all the gyrations that go on, all the changes that go on? My opinion is my opinion. What I am not is a sycophant. And so the left
I need to
media
watch
is
them
confused
fuckers.
about me. I thought he was
Looks
a
like I'm
sycophant.
pregnant,
So when
doesn't
he
it?
disagrees with Trump, that's very notable. I'm not a sycophant. I express my own opinions. I think Donald Trump is a fantastic, historic president. I have my own opinions when it comes to a whole bunch of issues, especially when it comes to terrorist regimes and what they're doing to our country and what they've done to our ally Israel. That's it. As a red-blooded American. So a lot of the reporting, a lot of the media are by people who want hits, people who want subscribers, people who are grifters, people who stir the pot. I don't sit here and stir the pot. When I deal with people like Chatsworth, Osborne Jr.
It looks like pretty much right now you own my side chat, Rocky. Call me a name or
Get
something.
my face again. I'll slap his ass again. That's fine.
That's what
by
they
me.
want to see.
It's okay. I'm not going to obsess.
Call
over it.
my
I've got
mother
other things
Orville
to do, other things
Redenbacher.
to
That's
discuss
what
with
Gotti
you, the country to
does.
save. We have
He's got JT
an
doing it
economic
too.
system to protect. We want these tax cuts across the board, as steep as possible. You know, I love the Democrats. Tax cuts for the rich, spending for the government. That's what they want. Spending for the government. Open borders, illegal aliens, all kinds of people coming into the country, harming us. That's what they want.
Sad.
We have to defeat them. We have to fight them. So when it comes to President Trump,
Lady Venom has said the most
80%
disparaging things about our
90% of the
military.
issues we agree on.
Can't stand
And
you,
he's
Lady
persuaded
Venom.
me on a
I
number
don't
of
care
issues.
who's your friend.
And I feel
Tiffany, it
when he
doesn't
asks,
matter.
I've
You're an
persuaded
idiot.
him here and there. Who knows? That's the nature of being a rational human being. That's the nature of thinking and thinking for yourself. It's not.
Look at that.
controversial.
Relentless in Vegas saying
These headlines are crazy.
Tammy Holt has class. That's not.
It's not.
That's not Tammy. That's not Queen T. Duh, Relentless. Who the fuck do you think it is, you dumb bitch?
The Middle Eastern landscape is reshaping before our
It's
eyes.
Wigan.
Blink, and you'll miss something. People try to
Oh,
modify.
there's
facts and
Logical.
redraw lines.
There he is, right there.
At this
He's
very
fucking.
moment.
I don't have
The
anybody
nation
blocked
Israel
on that
stands
account.
naturally at the center of these groundbreaking events. Many believe that what happens in the Middle East has never been more important and never more filled with potential and fraught with peril. Many also believe that Israel's enemies are America's enemies. I happen to believe that, certainly in the vast majority of cases. Christians United for Israel, that's right. Christians United for Israel has 11 million active members. It's one of America's largest pro-Israel organizations. And these isolationists, these Soros,
There he is.
isolate.
There's if you clear your block list, go into Vegas. There's Logico with about 8 different robots with my mother's picture.
Well, it's leading the charge to help keep
I win.
Americans on Israel's side. This summer, join thousands of us.
It's that simple.
Pro-Israel Americans at the 20th annual Christians
Folks.
United for
Hey,
Israel.
folks.
I'll be one of them.
Did you
and my
notice the
family will
title
be
of
there.
my chat?
We'd love to meet you. It's a summit in Washington from June 29th through July 1st. It's going to be fantastic. And while you're there, you'll learn from leading Middle East experts and make your voice heard. Don't be a bystander to history. Jump in with both feet.
Poor
We're
little
talking about the
Logical.
birthplace of Judaism and Christianity, the Holy Land.
Poor little Logical
Register
upset.
for the 20th annual KUFI, Christians United for Israel. KUFI Washington Summit today at kufi.org. That's CUFI.org. Use promo code LEVIN25. That's LEVIN 25. Be a part of this grassroots movement. Join the millions and millions of us and be at the forefront of history. The Republican Party. I'm proud of them today. I'll be proud of them. when they
I'm
pass the
disappointed,
massive tax
Relentless. I thought you were better than that.
There's a lot of reasons to be proud of the Republican Party under John Thune,
That's pretty disappointing.
Mike Johnson, and Donald Trump. A lot of reasons. And the Jewish Insider, most congressional Republicans insist on no enrichment for Iran. 2 letters signed by the overwhelming majority of House and Senate Republicans urged Trump to reject any nuclear deal without complete dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program. Why are they doing that? Bought by the state of Israel? Excuse me. It's the Arabs with all the money that are busy buying everything and everyone in sight. They're the ones with the money. Qatar more than anybody else. Nearly all Senate Republicans sent a letter to President Trump today, urging him only to agree to a nuclear deal with Iran that requires the full dismantlement of Tehran's nuclear program. 80% of House Republicans, 177 lawmakers, signed on to nearly an identical letter. Now, the Senate letter, led by Senators Pete Ricketts, Ted Cruz, and co-signed by every single Republican senator, except Rand Paul, of course, calls on the Trump administration to follow through on its explicit warnings that Tehran must permanently give up any capacity for enrichment. That's the language. And I support this too. Do you want Iran to do that? No need to drop bombs. If we can't, then there is a need to protect our country. The House version of the letter was led by Representative August Pfluger, Republican Texas, the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, the largest conservative caucus in the House. The Republican Study Committee is the largest conservative caucus in the House. Every Republican in the Senate except Rand Paul. I would say that that's an overwhelming position of the Republican Party. The letters, drafts of which were first reported by the Jewish Insider last week, serve as a clear message to the president from congressional Republicans. I don't think it's a message to the president. I think what they're showing the president is, we support what you're trying to do. You said the total dismantlement, and we agree. We are behind the total dismantlement. They said you and your administration have therefore correctly drawn a red line against any deal that allows Iran to retain any enrichment capability. The Senate letter reads, pointing to the language used in Trump's National Security Presidential Memorandum on Iran, a conference from him and Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy, about the need for full dismantlement. We cannot afford another agreement that enables Iran to play for time, as the Obama deal did. The Iranian regime should know that the administration has congressional backing to ensure their ability to enrich uranium is permanently eliminated. As I said, this wasn't throwing anything at Trump. This was endorsing his stated position. The letters make the case that verification protocols to allow limited Iranian nuclear enrichment, as were used under the 2015 Obama deal and have been floated by some administration officials, are no longer a viable solution. So, folks, 80% of the House Republicans, every single Senate Republican but Rand Paul, stands with me and I with them. The President of the United States has said unequivocally, this is his position. I back it, the Republicans back it. It's the fifth column isolationists who don't back it. The Chatworths and the other lunatics. They don't back the president. We do. The letters make the case that verification protocols to allow limited Iranian nuclear enrichment, no way. That was the Obama deal. The letter goes on. The scope and breadth of Iran's nuclear build-out have made it impossible to verify any new deal that allows Iran to continue enriching uranium. The letters criticize the Obama deal, which they call deeply broken. They praised Trump's decision during his first term to withdraw from that deal, noting that he said at the time it allowed Iran to continue to enrich uranium and over time reach the brink of a nuclear break-in. And I've told you here several times, he called me to his side. He signed the document that withdrew the United States from that agreement, and he handed me the pen. Goes on to detail the Biden administration's alleged undoing of that pressure, functionally re-implementing the nuclear deal as they described it. As you predicted, those policies, they say to the president, indeed allowed Iran to reach the brink of a nuclear breakout, which is where they are today. The Biden administration made these concessions without any reciprocal concessions from Iran. And Iran even ceased providing international inspectors access to significant parts of its nuclear program in the early days of the Biden administration. So this is the consensus of the Republican Party, including those who were just elected, including those in MAGA. That's right. This is the consensus of every quarter of the Republican Party. whether it's MAGA, whether it's rhinos, whether it's conservative constitutionalists, which are MAGA really, Tea Party, whatever they label themselves or call themselves. The lunatics with the Soros Koch crowd, it's a small cabal. That's what it is. Big mouths, thugs, bully people, threaten people, but they're nothing. They're a paper tiger. I promise you. That's what they are. A paper tiger. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. From bases abroad to communities here at home, the dedication of service members, veterans, and their families is felt across the globe, and so is our gratitude. For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has supported the military community wherever duty calls. During National Military Appreciation Month, WMAL and UMGC salute our nation's service members, veterans, and their families with a heartfelt thank you.
Accident activity on the inner loop of the Beltway at River Road. Just moved to the shoulder, but traffic is jammed up from 123. Your delays continue from 355 to University Boulevard. Also slow through Lanham between Route 50 and reaching Marlborough Road. And the outer loop still quite slow from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. In Vienna, watch out for an accident on Lawyers Road between Hunter Mill Road and Malcolm Road. And also there's an accident in Fairfax on Westfields Boulevard between 28 and Walney Road. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, scattered showers and possibly a thunderstorm, lows around 65. Tomorrow, partly sunny, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, highs near 80.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
If you want to live a longer, healthier, happier life, there are a lot of things you can do to make that happen. Eat better food, get more exercise, more sleep. The list goes on and on. You know these things. But one thing a lot of people overlook is the importance of staying properly hydrated. Research shows drinking plenty of water can improve blood pressure, diabetes, joint, gut, and kidney health, as well as ease migraines and boost the glow of your skin. If you're waiting to drink water until mealtime or until you feel thirsty, you're not drinking enough. Instead, experts we talk to recommend to drink a glass of water every time you do something that's part of your daily routine. Think about that. When you cook or you clean or you walk the dog, when you're watching television. That is something known as habit stacking. Drinking water at those times makes it more likely to become a habit and ensure its success. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
The ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast. Welcome to Talkville.
I'm starting to have night sweats.
It's going to be rough, Ryan. That's why I gave away my 3 roses this season.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
It's so vitally important that we have the Leukemia Lymphoma Society on our side, be the front runner in technologies for fighting cancer.
To give or get help, visit LLS.org.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Some big news. Iran is threatening to wipe Israel off the map and destroy America. Now, UN inspectors say Iran is close to getting nuclear weapons, just weeks away. But President Trump vows he won't let them. He's even moved 2 aircraft carriers to the area. This is a big story, and Newsmax's Rob Finnerty is covering it all this week and exposing the real threat. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for Rob's series, Stop Iran, and find out Trump's secret plan to fix this. Watch Finnerty on Newsmax on all major cable systems. President Trump says he watches Newsmax all the time. You should too. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone and sign up for Newsmax Plus to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
Making sense of your world.
I don't know where to begin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Thanks for taking my call.
Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of social media because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
By the way, last night's show, people loved last night's show. You notice that, Mr. Producer? Okay, you can find last night's show on marklevinshow.com on our website. We have all of our programs that are there. Mr. Producer went out of his way, did a wonderful job with the Chatsworth Osborne part of the show. You can get that on Rumble, or you can get it on YouTube. So it's all out there. Even Mediaite picked it up with one of their crazy-ass headlines, but nonetheless, it's there. And you can listen to that part of the show, or you can listen to the whole show, again, at the marklevinshow.com. Apparently, apparently people loved it. Well, that's okay. When you love it, we love it. We're going to take a little break at the top of the hour soon. I hope you'll go to Amazon.com and grab your On Power copy. I really want you to lock it in so you can get the best discount possible. And when the book comes out, we're going to spend some time on it. I'm going to discuss it here in more length because of its relevance and importance, I believe. We're going to discuss it on The Blaze. We're going to discuss it on Fox. Sean Hannity, I haven't been on the Hannity show in a long time. And the reason is, Sean has been concerned about my leg and my health. I said, that's enough of that already. I'm doing great. So he has offered, and I've agreed that the first major interview, the launch of the book, will be on his program. You have to figure out how to do that since he's in one part of the world and I'm in another part of the world, but we'll figure something out. But I want you to get a copy as soon as it comes out on Power. This book is written for you, and you'll realize it after you read it. I think you'll love it. Let's take a moment to talk about where we are, because let's be honest, conservatives are winning. The narrative is cracking. People are waking up. Momentum is finally shifting, but the fight is far from over. That's why Blaze TV exists, because in a world of noise and censorship, we need a stronghold for bold voices, free thinkers, fearless truth tellers who cut through all the chaos. Blaze TV is home to some of the sharpest minds in the conservative movement. These are voices that challenge the narrative, expose the truth, ask the questions. The corrupt media will not. And when you subscribe, you're not just watching, you're standing with a movement. You're supporting independent and real journalism, powerful documentaries, and creators who refuse to be silenced. Watch Blaze TV on your terms, anytime, any place, on any device. It's so great. It really is great. And it starts at just $8 a month. $8 a month. And I think many have, who subscribe and start watching it, they're hooked on it. And they say, why the heck didn't I do this earlier? Go to levintv.com/Levin. That's LEVIN TV.com/LEVIN. And use the promo code. You know what that one is? It's Levin, the promo code. So it's levintv.com/Levin. And use the promo code Levin. That's spelled LEVIN. You'll save $20 on your annual subscription. That's levintv.com/Levin. Promo code Levin. Plenty of Levin for Blaze TV. A fantastic digital site. Fantastic. Unlimited, unafraid, on demand. Please join us today. You know what? It's a wonderful Mother's Day gift. Well, take it. Your mom out to dinner. Maybe buy her some candy, buy her something she wants, but give her this too, because this lasts forever. Well, at least for a year. At least for a year. And I know your mom's going to enjoy it, especially if she's an American patriot, like most of your moms are around here. When we come back, we're going to have our friend Zuhdi Jasser. Now, Zuhdi Jasser is a national treasure. He's very courageous. He gets a lot of threats on his life. He's the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. He's a straight shooter, and he tells it like it is. I think it would have been extraordinarily useful if Zuhdi were on the trip, giving some advice to the president, an envoy to the Muslim world. We could have given advice to the president, given advice to the other envoy.
Oh, my face.
But he'll give us advice and information when we return. We'll be right back.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that pick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook, because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
75 years of research,
75 years of policy, 75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Join us at mda75.org.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
We're the stronger than we look type.
I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2.
The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 7. I'm Heather Curtis. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin says his heart is crushed after learning the body of a 12-year-old boy swept away by floodwaters in Albemarle County yesterday was found this morning. Jordan Sims was walking along a road when floodwater from a creek took him. Low-lying areas in the nation's capital could see some flooding from yesterday's heavy rains.
The coastal flood watch, basically, there's potential for moderate tidal flooding, particularly around the Georgetown area.
Meteorologist Brian LaSorsa with the National Weather Service.
We're expecting fresh water from the Potomac River to pile up around the tidal Potomac River, around D.C. there, from all that rainfall that fell yesterday.
With high tide in the Washington Channel Thursday morning expected up to 2 feet above normal. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
And that coastal flood watch now upgraded to a coastal flood warning. A postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown here on a student visa was released from an ICE detention center today after a federal judge's ruling. Badar Khan Suri was taken into custody after the Trump administration accused him of spreading Hamas propaganda. He'll be able to go back to his Roslyn home while he challenges the legality of his arrest, saying his First Amendment rights are being violated. Sophia Gregg with the ACLU of Virginia is one of his lawyers.
His freedom means a lot, not just for him, but for the public at large, that the government cannot detain people in this manner and violate their constitutional rights with impunity.
The government argues he has undisputed family ties to Hamas since his father-in-law was an advisor to the terror group. He's also fighting the Trump administration's efforts to deport him. Congressional Democrats looking for answers about Kilmar Abrego Garcia during a House committee hearing today that was supposed to be about DHS's budget.
New York Rep. Dan Goldman grilling DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on why she hasn't taken steps to get the illegal immigrant back from an El Salvadoran prison where he was deported.
It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of your constituents. To see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
I'm fighting for due process.
The hearing, a day after a federal judge gave the Trump administration a green light to continue deportation flights to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
A measure to allow African-American history courses to become requirements for Virginia high school graduation has been vetoed.
Democrat Delegate David Reed's proposal had bipartisan support and would have permitted students to substitute world history or world geography with African-American history or AP African-American studies. But after Governor Youngkin's veto, Reed feels
somewhere along the way, he's decided that it's more important to be subservient to Trump and the whole anti-DEI effort that is going on right now.
Telling 7 News,
as opposed to staying true to what he signed on the first day of his administration.
A spokesman for the governor feels world history is essential and should not be replaced as a core class. Students can still take the courses as an elective. Scott Lynn on WMAL and WMAL.com.
A former teacher at St. Veronica's Catholic School in Chantilly has been arrested on a slew of felony charges, including possession of child porn, electronic solicitation, and indecent liberties. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office thinks there may be more victims and is looking for more information related to Nicholas Zimmerman's April arrest. The 35-year-old taught at the school from August of 2015 through February of this year. He's being held without bond. Traffic and weather next.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Here's the good news. You've made it through cold and flu season. But no matter what time of year it is, we all want our immune systems functioning at peak performance. In addition to staying up to date on vaccines recommended for your age, there are 3 tried and true things you can do to boost your immune system. Okay, number 1, cut back on ultra-processed foods. Studies have linked them to impaired immune function. Number 2, get the recommended amount of physical activity every week. Not only does that reduce your chance of developing chronic disease, we now know exercise actually stimulates your immune system. Number 3, aim for better sleep. Sleep often gets the least attention, but research shows that sleep deprivation induces immune changes that can actually increase the risk of various diseases. Of course, don't forget the simple things, like washing your hands. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Here's Michelle Murray in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
There is still accident activity on the inner loop of the Valley at River Road, where the right lane is blocked and traffic is jammed up from 123. More delays continue through Bethesda, a little bit slow through Landover, and the outer loop is slow headed from Van Dorn Street to the Wilson Bridge. In Vienna, there is a crash on Lawyers Road between Hunter Mill Road and Malcolm Road, and another crash in Fairfax on Westfields Boulevard between 28 and Walney Road. In the district, a couple of street closures for the annual Pipe Band Memorial March and Service, including New Jersey Avenue between S Street and East Street Street is closed between 5th Street and New Jersey Avenue. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Rain in the forecast here this evening with some isolated storms, but the heavier rain between I-81 and I-95 corridor could give way to more flash flood warnings this evening until midnight. Temperatures drop to 60 to 65 degrees. You're at 78 to 81 degrees for a high temperature Thursday with just a stray shower or thunderstorm. I'm 7 News Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 69 degrees in Sterling, 68 in Bowie, and 69 degrees under cloudy skies here in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis, Sun News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, American. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Zudi Jass is a very good friend of mine. He's a wonderful patriot. He's a brilliant man. And he puts his neck way out on the line as a reformer in the Muslim faith. And yet, in my view, he represents tens of millions of Muslims who do not buy into Islamism and terrorism and all the other isms. They want to practice their faith. They want to get along with their neighbors. Zudi's one of them. I know many in my own community. One of them is my banker. And I mean, I can go on and on down the list. They want nothing to do with this bloodlust. Nothing. But they don't get a voice. Instead, the terrorists are funding the destruction of America, Europe, and Israel. They have enormous sums of money, more than any other region of the world, and they're spreading it around big time. And it seems like our politicians and our government speaks to them and not to other Muslims who want nothing to do with them. And so I bring Zudi Jasser to you. He's one of the most prominent reformers, not just in the country, in the world, president again of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, wrote a brilliant piece today at Fox. Zudi, how are you, my friend? And explain what you were saying in your piece that you posted at Fox.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for having me. It's always great to be with you. You know, this piece has been long in the making, and it was just the right time to talk about it now. Basically, my point is that peace depends on total defeat of Hamas, the Islamist cult, and also getting an unconditional surrender from the Palestinians and also Hamas. Because, you know, how many wars do we need? It was, 48, 56, 67, 73, and now this war has been going on since 23. And ultimately, it's a death cult. They thrive on war. They thrive on death. No different than the Iranian regime, which declares they want to end the world and talking about the 12th Imam. These Islamist jihadists, they find more happiness in death than they do in life. So therefore, the way to defeat them and get that voice, that Palestinian voice that now we're seeing in the streets the last few months, finally, demonstrations in Gaza against Hamas. So if you want to amplify those voices, look what happened in World War II. Germany, Japan finally rebooted their entire cultures when they had to surrender unconditionally. Japan's theocratic cult was marginalized, and they became a thriving free market capitalist democracy after they had to resign and surrender. And this is why I don't understand why we haven't declared that. It needed a Muslim to say it, I guess, and to tell the world, listen, enough with the vacuum of power. Defeat them, and enough already. Have them at a table in which they sign a unconditional surrender.
Why is it, do you think, Zudi Jasser, that Israel apparently is not allowed to destroy Hamas, that Israel has to keep entering into ceasefires with Hamas, which then we have these other countries that are funding them, Qatar, that is Hamas, to live for another day, to kill for another day? I mean, there's not another country on the face of the earth, certainly not us, that would tolerate this. Is there? Am I missing something?
You're not missing anything. And it's because whether it's the UN or the deep anti-Semitism that's being funneled and fueled by the Chinas and Qatars of the world, it is fueling an ideology where somehow the smallest country and one of the smallest countries on the planet is somehow the aggressor, and yet a third of the Jewish population was wiped out in the Holocaust. That's forgotten, and ultimately they're not realizing that the wars that are started repeatedly by the Arabists, by the Islamists, and yet the West wants to constantly blame itself or blame the Jews and never blame the ideologies and the fuel of petro-Islam that is the root cause of why we've been marginalized. And finally, Syria got rid of its massive tumor of Assad, and already filling in that vacuum, you find Turkey, Qatar, and others trying to jockey in. And thankfully, President Trump is filling in the vacuum that Biden left, and hopefully we'll see a reset there. But ultimately, it's because it's everything about blaming the West and not actually dealing with the diseases. I'm a doctor. I deal with treating cancers, treating diseases, not just treating symptoms. And the left, the victim-oriented left, just likes to treat symptoms and blame everything in gaslighting fashion on us.
Now, in your great book, you point to an Islamist, 1965. He writes a book. And I want you to talk about that a little bit. The Islamist, what his point is in the book, his view of the West, and that his view of the West is the view of the West by the Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and in fact, Qatar, many respects, Saudi Arabia, and some of these other countries. Expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so Hamas, Al-Qaeda, all of these militant groups are outgrowths of a party, the Muslim Brotherhood, which should be declared a terror organization. The Muslim Brotherhood was founded by Hassan al-Banna and ideologically came from Sayyid Qutb. And Qutb talks about milestones on the path towards Islamic supremacy, and talks about dividing the world, which is now 1,000 years Islam has been trying to divide the world into the land of Islam and the land of war. And basically Muslim majority countries would develop a caliphate. The apologists called it like the EU. It's not the EU. It's an empire, no different than the Soviets were trying to build or any empire. They want to build a caliphate. The Qataris see themselves as the future seat of that caliphate. Erdogan's jockeying to also resurrect the Ottoman part of that caliphate. The Shia want that caliphate to be the imamate in Tehran. Ultimately, they want theocratic governance. The West shed its theocracy historically through revolutions in Europe, and ultimately the best one, I believe, as an American, is the American Revolution against the British theocrats. Islam has not gone through that, and that's why in my piece I say that getting this right against Hamas will set the tone about what we do against Islamism, that we're not apologists. We take offense, not defense, and we've been playing defense for generations now against the Palestinians, against the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's baked in their DNA the last few hundred years now. The Elon Musks of the world, as I debated in Oxford and elsewhere 1,000 years ago, were in Muslim-majority countries while the West was in the Dark Ages. So if it was in the recipe, I don't think you'd have that history. But we've not gone through a separation of mosque and state, a defense of the individual over the tribe. You still see tribes running countries. You still see them dependent on resources under the ground, as my grandfather used to say, instead of the resources between their ears. This has not gone through a modernization of technology. They steal our technology instead of, motivating their citizens to develop their own technology. So they need free markets. They need critical thinking. They need schools of political science and humanities versus simply computers and medicine, which are more literal sciences versus the humanities.
Let's talk about Qatar. We're celebrating this great deal with Qatar, lots of money involved. But Qatar is required to curb its terrorist activities. Qatar is destroying higher education in America along the communist trend. They've destroyed our Ivy Leagues. They have funded Students for Justice in Palestine, which is effectively a front group for these terrorist regimes and others. And isn't it strange that they're not required to curb the amount of money they're pouring into our colleges and universities here, while many of these students who are just awful are being rounded up and deported? There seems to be some disconnect there to me.
There totally is. And, in Trump's first administration, he actually brought the Saudis to bear, to heel about what they were doing to fund the Al-Qaedas and ISISs of the world. There are institutes in the West, mosques, and others, universities that have been funded by the Saudis that fuel the Brotherhood, where the Saudis' mantra was to spread billions to, spread Islam by the minarets rather than otherwise. And that stopped in 2017, where President Trump said, along with the Accords, you have to stop radicalism. I hope now, if he reopens Abraham Accords 2.0, that ultimately he'll remind the Qataris that they need to stop the same thing. That ultimately it's not a coincidence that Qatar has the Taliban and Iran and Hezbollah and the Houthis on speed dial whenever we need negotiations, because they created these monsters. They are fueling them with trillions. And why do they do that? Because one of the main differences with the Saudis, which makes them even more lethal, the royal family in charge of Qatar actually are true believers in the Islamic supremacy of the state. The Saudis see it as a sort of a transactional thing that they want to just corporately run. The Qataris ideologically believe in resurrecting the caliphate, and the seat should be in Doha.
And in fact, the Qataris are hated by the Saudis, aren't they? And in fact, the Qataris have tried to overthrow the Saudi monarchy. They've tried to overthrow the Jordanian monarchy, UAE, Oman. They all despise the Qataris. And yet the Qataris are ubiquitous in the United States, buying law firms and lawyers and politicians and sporting teams and $5 million to the Medal of Honor Museum, for God's sakes. They're ubiquitous in our colleges and universities, spending billions and billions and billions of dollars. And we don't even slap their hands.
It's just mind-numbing at how much and how much there is actually legislation already in place to expose this. And, the Deterrent Act passed the House twice. Hopefully it'll pass the Senate, in which not only does it expose China's donations to universities, but Qatar's and others. There's the FACE Act about exposing foreign donations, and many of these entities that you talk about should be listed on FARA, which is, the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And yet they're not. And somehow it's just tolerated. And the thing we forget about Qatar, you and I have talked about Iran many times. A lot of the trillions of wealth that Qatar has, they share in natural gas oil fields with Iran. So they are, this is where they get an antagonism with the Saudis, is ultimately they are shifted more towards the Iranian Shia crescent, even though they're Sunnis, than they are with the Arab countries. And they were actually isolated with an embargo during Trump's first administration that actually began to isolate them. And now, hopefully, this is just the first trip of many that the president will make in which he then ratchets back and tries to rein them in. And I think we should revisit why we have a base there. It doesn't make any sense when the Iranians are threatening us through surrogates like the Houthis and others. It makes no sense that we have one of our largest bases where we would be launching operations against Iran or Houthi if we ever were attacked, and yet somehow Qatar is working with them and making a lot of their income through oil fields with them.
Let me ask you a quick question, though, Zudi Jasser. I'm going to spell a word for you. I pronounced it phonetically, but I need you to pronounce it. And tell the American people what this is, because I've written about this in my new book, too. And you're quoted in my new book, but I've written about this in my new book. It's spelled Taqiyya. What is that?
So taqiyya is basically I'll give you two quick answers. One is basically the Islamist.
By the way, I know what it is. I just want the audience to know what it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. It's the Islamist penchant to lie, to deceive, or dissimulate, to pretend to be something you aren't, just in order to, just like terrorism, where the ends justifies the means. Now, the history of that, it's actually more in the Shia tradition, because the Shia were persecuted horrifically under Sunni regimes, dynasties in the past. So they said they would pretend to be Sunni, and the Shia community, basically, many of them said part of their theology became taqiyya. So the Islamists, the Brotherhood, many adopted that into mainstream theology to say, well, let's pretend to be about democracy while we're a minority. While we weaken the West, let's pretend to sign agreements. The PLO did taqiyya when they tried to sign agreements, and they said, well, we'll say one thing in English and do the other in Arabic. So it's basically permission to lie, and it's corruption. That's why ultimately you can't reform Islam or anything unless you do it from a place of morality, consistency, and truth, where we say the same thing at our household with my kids at the dinner table that I do with you now and all of your listeners.
So people need to understand this is part of an ideology. So if you sign a piece of paper and you promise not to build nukes, like in Iran, and they've signed multiple pieces of paper with different administrations, and they have violated each and every one of them, they believe that God compels them to do that in order to defeat the West. Isn't that correct?
100%. That's why from day one, Mark, as we've talked about before, the JCPOA was a bunch of nonsense. They would get a 10-year reprieve. You know, talk about the long game. I get dizzy with the changes. I've testified to Congress so many times about this, and every 2 to 4 years we have changes in Congress and people forget what we talked about. These guys have a long game of 50 to 100 years. The Brotherhood's memorandum in the West was a 100-year plan that they launched in the 70s, and now they have another 50 years to finish. So this is why we need to pay attention to what their ideology is, and hopefully the best anti-nuke program will be to support the women's movements, the liberal movements, and those who believe in the values we share. And it's not going to be done militarily. It's simply by having consistent values that we work with folks on the ground who share our values.
Your book, by the way, fantastic book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam. I want to thank you for everything you do, Zudi, and my best to you and your family. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Mark. God bless you. Always great to be with you.
You too. You take care of yourself. And so we have the isolationists that seem to back the Islamists or don't want to do anything about them. If you don't do anything about the Islamists, they will strike us over and over and over again. And the more powerful weapons they have, the more powerful weapons they will use. What I'm explaining is quintessentially American, that we Americans have to defend ourselves. And we don't have to be sitting ducks and wait for a nuclear attack to figure this out, as we were sitting ducks on 9/11. That's the truth. There's nothing warmonger about this. There's nothing Jewish or Israeli about this. This is American. red-blooded Americans. We lost red-blooded Americans on 9/11. The Israelis have lost God knows how many of their people. The same forces have tried to destroy them. Why? Because a Western-like country. We're a Western country, and it cannot be tolerated from this ideology.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS? You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle.
Pretty brave, Matt, you bald-headed fucker. Matt, why are you sucking Al Pesha's cock? Huh? Why are you sucking that guy's cock over in England? What the fuck is up with that?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight.
You here to protect log liquor? He's an idiot. Keeps trying to get me to block his bots. I ain't fucking blocking him. Got a wrench on that motherfucker. I go back and forth. That's why I don't keep people blocked. I have a fucking very short block list. Well, I know where you stand now, Matt. You're a punk motherfucker. You want to come up here and take me on my own panel? Huh? You fucking brave enough to come up here? I'll put the link down for you. Because I was actually going to leave. I got something I need to do. So hurry up because I got to go. Come on up. I dare you. Nope. You got one choice, Matt. You have one choice, Matt. You click on my link and come up here. I'll give you 2 minutes. And then I'm going to end this stream, and I might be back later. But I got to get up early in the morning, and I got things to do.
Making sense of the news. Making sense of the headlines. Making sense of your world.
So there you are, Matt.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
You're not making a very good first impression on me, boy.
Making sense of the news.
No contest wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr.
No. Don't want to come up. Seriously, though, I was just thinking I was going to leave because I got something I got to do. Like clean up my kitchen because I cooked dinner earlier. I ate before I went live, and it's shit sitting out there I ain't put away. And I'm not going to leave the chat up. We all know what's going on.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
My friends, you worked hard your whole life. You've paid your
There you go, Wiggin. He wants to come in here and fucking White Knight for Will Durant and Logical and the fucking FDU crew. Well, anyways, I got to go, and I'll be back later.
Taking a stand to bring fairness back, to root out waste and fraud, and proudly standing for our Judeo